Hey, what's going on, guys? It's the Crypto Siege with another day in the life, in the crazy life that is the digital asset space. Good morning. Happy, what is this? Happy, is it Tuesday? It is. Happy Tuesday to you. So, guys, here's the deal. I had been starting last night at around 9 o'clock, prepping for a physical exam that I was going to have done today at my home. So doing the whole fasting thing, no morning coffee or coffees, none, zero, nada. And only to come to find out that my appointment is not this morning. It is, in fact, tomorrow morning. Unbelievable. Tomorrow morning. So that means I did not have my usual time to prepare for my video this morning. Did not have time to prepare, expecting someone to show up at 9:30 in the a.m. at my home. So in any case, I'm getting off to a late start. And so tomorrow is the actual physical. So anyway, that was crazy for sure, guys. But listen, I'm going to share some things with you today, guys. When I did my video yesterday, I thought to myself, I really, Mickey B. Fresh has some really great stuff, and I only covered a small part of it. I was thinking it, I only covered a small part. So Mondays are generally hugely busy for us in our business. So I said, tomorrow I'll go into a deeper dive on everything in his feed about the central banks, right? So cool, let's get ready to do that. Then I came across some other stuff and I thought, wow, what do I share? What do I share? Going back and forth. And then it all roads led actually back to Mickey B. Fresh because of this tweet here from Crypto Eddie. Shout out to Crypto Eddie, always bringing value and sharing the value with the community. Absolutely love the way she does her thing. So we heard about this particular conference that they were having, this video conference, and I saw this tweet and I wanted to share it with you guys because I think it's important. This is from Ralph Chimi. Now, guys, if you haven't checked out Crypto Eddie's YouTube channel, you certainly want to do that. You definitely want to check out the last two videos that she did. They were really, really good and really are important considering where we are today. So this tweet is from Crypto Eddie about Ralph Chimi. He's the IMF Assistant Director, right? With the World Bank, okay? IMF Assistant Director today in the video with the World Bank. So he's at the IMF, the Assistant Director at the IMF, right? So, and the video thing was with the World Bank and some other people there. And there was an interesting point in the video that I'm going to share with you guys 1 hour and 45 minutes into this particular conference, okay, that I thought was really, really interesting. I'm going to share with you guys. And I want you guys to catch what he says. Because he was asked about digitization, remittances. Can digital assets help with that? Can digital assets help with that, right? The cutting down on the remittance costs. And I think it's important to hear what he says because it all ties back to me, in my humble opinion, and Ripple's choice in the decision and the path that they made since day one. All right, so let me read this, and then I'm going to share that bit. It's like 2 minutes from that live stream. So paying attention to everything. This is Crypto Eddie. This is what she's saying, right? Ralph Chimi, IMF Assistant Director, today in a video with the World Bank regarding reducing costs of remittances with digital assets. He is quoted, and I heard him say this, I don't want to name names, but are you going to allow one company to control a corridor? So that's an interesting statement. I'm going to let you guys listen to it, and then I'm going to share my take on what he says, because I think what he says is missed by most of the people in this feed, except for the last one. A lady who commented on it as well. So let's pull this up and let's go to Oh, we are right here. It's a minute and 45. Someone noted, check out 1 minute and 45, 30 seconds. So I'm going to start at a minute and 44 and start paying attention in about a minute, 45 and 30 seconds.
To stabilize your situation. You want to export to whom? You want to say, come and visit my country. Who's going to come and visit your country if you're a tourist country? Who? Everybody's afraid. And the guys that used to have the purchasing power to come and visit you are themselves at risk.
Pay attention. By the way, guys, pay attention to the webinar title, EMEA webinar, Remittances, Labor Markets, and Digitization in Africa and the Middle East. I'm going to share a little bit from Marcus Treacher on his interview on a podcast where he talks about this particular region and what Ripple is doing. All right, so.
What this is saying, this is a global shock. So when I say we're all in it together, it's really we are all in it together. We need to think collectively. So when I provided the solutions for the host countries, what to do, I wasn't saying that the host countries should develop a heart and care for the low-income countries. And no, I'm saying it's your own best interest to look after the migrant workers, because they're the ones that pick the asparagus and the strawberry in the fields of Europe. They're the migrant workers. And when they're gone, ain't nobody there to pick those fields.
True.
So it's in our best interest to stabilize the migrant workers in the rich countries, in the high income countries, because they are an input into our output. And by stabilizing them, meaning giving them the same benefits that we are giving to our own citizens in terms of employment assurances, social insurance, what have you, you stabilize the remittances channel, which helps the countries back home. And if you really want to help the countries back home, we start there. We start by reducing the cost of remittances. As Dilip was saying, is there a role for the central banks in this? And this is the question. Of course, there's a role for the central bank.
Is there a role for the central banks in this issue? He says, of course, there's a role for the central banks in this issue, okay? And I'm going to once again point out to the, one of the best to ever do it in terms of bringing the research. Ripple was engaging with central banks about issuing these CBDCs on the XRPL ledger back in 2015. Here's a deleted, once publicly available, now deleted PDF from Ripple's website in 2015. RippleNet has just replaced the gateways. Same thing. I'm going to go through this feed from Make It Be Fresh as well. But just wanted to point this out, guys. Just wanted to point this out. Now, hopefully, I can find where I was with this video. Let's continue listening to Mr. Chimi.
Yes. There are all kinds of, outfits that are advancing such ideas, which is maybe the central banks, because they know what are these accounts that are coming in, and they can trade. They know which are, they're sending money home to my mother, and therefore they can create.
3 times now he's mentioned central bank.
Conversion ratio that is actually favorable for remittances. These are things that we can think about, including
Ralph, what do you think about digital currencies, central bank digital currencies? Can they be used to reduce costs for remittances?
The digital currency, the beauty of the blockchain technology and so forth, it's that rather than going through the SWIFT system, which involves about 6-7 parties and takes 4 or 5 days to get there, the blockchain technology allows you to see it in real time. Now, what you have to worry about so there are definitely benefits, definitely, to digitization and the block technology aspect, but what you still have to worry about are a number of things, is that who is going to be in control of this corridor? Is it one company? Are you going to allow one company, to do this, for example? Or should be the central bank of the country that is in control of it? Because
interesting question. It's an interesting question. Who are we going to let control this quarter? Is it going to be one company, or is it going to be the central bank? Ripple's a company. For as long as I've been following Ripple, they've never come across to me as a company wanting to control any quarter. They've always come across to me as a company wanting to help other businesses, other FIs, other SMEs and SMBs, banks, and central banks develop in corridors. Again, that's, in my humble opinion, it is very much the blue ocean strategy. If you don't know what that is, I highly recommend you go get that book. We all know, and I'm pretty confident in saying that Ripple, if they wanted to, they could have moved in a direction to be the one for cross-border remittance payments, cross-border remittances. If they wanted to, they could become the company. Somewhat like PayPal decided to become the company. Someone like MoneyGram decided to become the company. Somewhat like Amazon decided to become one company, right? The company. Ripple never did that. They have superior technology. They, if they wanted to, could have become the monopoly, if you will, in cross-border remittances. They could have not gifted the ILP to the W3C, which essentially is gifting it to the world. They could have not made the XRPL open source. They could have made it absolutely only accessible to them, only available to them. But they didn't do that. They didn't do any of those things. So they're not trying to control a corridor. So who is this one company he's talking about? Are you going to allow one company to control a corridor? Who is that one company he's talking about? Is there really a company trying to control a corridor? I don't know. Is Facebook that company? Feels like it. Feels like it. But I don't know. Here's what I do know. It's not Ripple. Ripple said, no. We're not going to dominate with our superior technology and the ILP and the XRPL ledger and its digital asset XRP. Ripple owns all three of those. They gifted the ILP. They made the ledger open source and accessible to everyone when they didn't have to do that. If they were going to move like an Amazon moves, if they were going to move like a Facebook moves, they decided not to move like that. This dude 3 times here in a minute or so says central banks of each country, the central bank. Who's been working with these central banks? Ripple is providing the infrastructure necessary for the central banks to do what they need to do for the cross borders for each individual countries. That is what's going on, in my opinion. Right? Infrastructure company. And we're gonna bring up David Treat again from Accenture, Senior Manager Director at Accenture, and the co-lead on the Digital Dollar Project to kind of tie it all together. The blue ocean strategy for Ripple has always been to work alongside. No. We're not gonna dominate and take it over. We recognize the weaknesses. We put together the technology to address those weaknesses. And we're gonna help you address it. instead of just taking it over. You see what I'm saying, guys? They could have easily just went into that space and dominated it with their own ILP and their own XRPL and their own XRP. They didn't do that. They didn't do it. They said, we're going to work alongside. We're going to work in collaboration. This is what they're doing with the central banks. This is what they're doing with FIs and SMEs. You don't think they're building a network that can work hand in hand because they recognize that each of us need all of us and all of us need each of us. They didn't take a totalitarian approach to this when they could have. They could have. It's their technology. They own it. They know it's better than anything out there. And I'm telling you guys, that approach is going to make them even bigger, even more important. The value of the Ripple net is the game changer. The value in that Ripple net is the game changer. All right, I'm going on a little rant there. So let's continue.
Again, if you allow one company, and I don't want to name names here, that will control that corridor, how do you know how much they're going to charge you to convert from the currency, from the dollar into whatever devise I'm going to send it to, and then the conversion when it arrives there? You see, so yes, digitization helps tremendously, and I believe Eckhart had a whole conference on that. The Geneva Labs on digitization, and where we discussed, remittances and impact of digitization on remittances. So it solves some issues, but it raises other issues. There's the other issue with please, I just want to mention it here on the remittances side, which is the AML CFT aspect, which has been a hindrance to reducing the cost of remittance, and we have to get our
There's another issue that he'd like to point out, and that's the KYC, AML, and CFT issues, which have been a hindrance in the cross-border remittance space. I happen to know a protocol or ledger that since day one has been KYC, AML, and CFT compliant since day one. Remember, Ripple created this XRPL and made it. They decided amongst themselves that we're going to make this open source, available and accessible to anyone. Trust me when I tell you, transparent. There hasn't been a single transaction that hasn't been KYC, AML, and CFT. I don't know how many tens of millions of open and closed ledgers without a single error. Without a single error. They don't own it. You see what I'm saying? Ripple doesn't own it. They created it. They don't own it. It's open source. They created the ILP. They gifted it to the W3C. That approach and mindset is it's the game changer. It is the game changer. So you got this guy 3 or 4 times talking about the central banks. You got him bringing up an issue that he feels is important at the IMF. I'm sure they all feel this is important. KYC, AML, and CFT, right? Counterterrorism, right? So you got this thing called the XRPL covers that. You got this fintech company working with the central banks, not trying to disintermediate them. These are things that people from the WF and the UN, G20s, they kind of like that idea of not being disintermediated. I'm fairly confident he's talking about Facebook. Don't know. Here's the thing that I do know. When Facebook came through the doors, walked through the doors and made this announcement about what they were doing, tell me the nation that was excited about it, that was embracing it, opening up their doors. Tell me the nation. Why? Because it's a company, a single one, wanting to control a thing. That's why. That's why no one, welcomed them with open arms. So I think the company's talking about is Facebook. I would love to hear what you guys think about in the comments. I am amazed and blown away by the people in this Twitter feed of Crypto Eddies who don't quite get it. Stating and suggesting that this dude's comments was a bad thing for Ripple. That's because they don't understand Ripple and its strategy, the blue ocean strategy. They don't get it. They're thinking Facebook. And I'm pretty sure, again, this guy's talking about Facebook. All right, so central banks, this guy says 3 or 4 times. Let's listen to a little bit more, then I'm gonna go on.
Our heads around this and solve it. Basically, the issue of how do you ensure who's getting the remittances, are using it the right way? How do you, all these, what we call the AML, the anti-money laundering, issues that come into this. These all have to be resolved before we can say digitization, is the full answer. It is relative to SWIFT, but we still have to solve other issues here.
It is relative to SWIFT. How about that? This is a guy from the IMF saying, yeah, SWIFT, not so good. This whole SWIFT thing, yeah, not so good. Digitization, cool. It's definitely a move forward, but, we got some things we need to address. What he doesn't know, perhaps, is not saying it's already been addressed. It's already being addressed. And by the way, there is a digital asset that can, speed it up, right? Can oil the engine, can lubricate the engine.
Thank you.
One last thing, I'm fully on board with the resilience versus efficiency. Fully on board. If anything, COVID is just an example of how much.
Okay, so there that is there. Let's go over to Mickey B Fresh. Well, let me do this. Let me go down this feed of the geniuses. I'm not going to read some of them, most of them, because anyway. So this person didn't quite kind of get the message behind it. So bad news for Ripple. This here, I'm not sure why. SWIFT seems to be the one company that's controlling a lot. I think this guy kind of gets it, Libra. He's asking which company it should be. Here's someone, get the community members always trying to divide one another and missing the bigger picture, my friend, our lead S. Carhus. The bigger picture is they want us fighting amongst ourselves. They want us fighting amongst ourselves. We want as many digital assets and the fintech companies behind them to win. We want VeChain and Ripple, its digital asset XRP, to win. We don't want to compete amongst each other, my friend. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom and share what I think someone who's kind of got it, right? Let's see. Once the corridor is liquid with XRP, I wouldn't imagine ODL to be the only option for remittance providers. This is from JJ. XRP can be freely traded by anyone. Ripple wouldn't necessarily control the corridor, not by a long shot. Shout out to JJ. I think she's got it. Now let's go over this Mickey B Fresh, this dude. Woo! When Mickey B Fresh puts something out on Twitter, he's done his homework. He's looked into it. He's dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's. Otherwise, he ain't putting it out. Otherwise, he's not sharing it. All right, so Ripple was engaging with central banks about issuing CBDCs on the XRPL ledger back in 2015. Here's a deleted PDF from the Ripple website in 2015. Now, I covered this with you guys. I'm going to go over it just briefly. RippleNet has just replaced the gateways, right? So let's go over this just a little bit, and then I'm going to share some other stuff. So here he's pointing out funds on Ripple are cryptographically secure balances representing funds custodied by a bank for sample currency transaction. Central banks can use Ripple to issue central bank money to authorize commercial banks. Okay, nice highlight there. Ripple is designed to be used directly by interbank payment networks and operators and by liquidity providers. He highlights that. Banks and non-bank financial service businesses can use Ripple to provide their customers with new payment capabilities. Look at the diagram above here, guys. It says central banks and regulator. Central bank and regulators. 2015, guys. See what I'm saying? Today, a guy from the IMF is saying, of course, central banks have a major role in reducing the friction, can play a major role in reducing the friction in cross-border remittances. Of course they can. All right. Do you think that the IMF and the WF and the UN is, again, did any one of those three entities come out and applaud Libra and what Facebook Libra is looking to do? I didn't see any. So Ripple can clear and settle transactions for low value and high value payments for any asset type. Any asset type, anything of value. So with Ripple, central banks can enable banks to clear and settle transactions bilaterally, thereby lowering the cost and risks of real-time payments. Note, a central bank can test Ripple by using Ripple's clearing capabilities, but still settling net positions via the RTGS system. See what I'm saying? Since day one, Mr. Greg Kidd and those guys back in the day, straight to the regulators. Here we go. How can we work together? We've identified a need. We've identified inefficiencies, and we can help with those. You see what I'm saying? All right. Thank you, Mickey B. Fresh, for continuing on an everyday basis to add value to the community. Because I am not the deep dive guy. I can go over it. I can share. I can get us thinking about the possibilities, but I am not the deep dive guy. All right, so it says liquidity providers here in this whole payment networks thing can be central banks, can be banks, and can be non-bank market makers. Again, he highlights the central banks. Central banks can enable commercial banks to exchange reserves in real time on a bilateral basis. Let me say that again. Central banks can enable commercial banks to exchange reserves in real time on a bilateral basis, 24/7, 365 days a year. Again, I'm gonna say it again for you guys. Ripple, if they wanted to, they could have been that one company that Ralph Chimi was talking about from the IMF. If they wanted to, they could have been. If they wanted to. Thank God they decided way back yonder in 2012 that they weren't going to take that approach or strategy. Because the chances are, and they're very good, that they would have come across the same opposition that Facebook Libra encountered. You guys get that, right? So let's go through some little bit more stuff here from Mickey B. This is an interesting thing here from, I believe this would be, gosh, forget his name, Ethan Beard. Stefan Thomas.
One thing that has evolved into is like, well, who are the best thing that has evolved? One thing that has evolved into is like, well, who are the best gateways? There are banks, and even better, the central bank, right? So the central bank is like the ideal gateway, right?
The banks and the central banks are the ideal gateways. RippleNet. Ripple uses gateways. Banks and central banks are the ideal gateways. A gateway is essentially a digital portal that governments, companies, and financial institutions use to join the network. This mechanism is called RippleNet. Let's see, just do this. Let's go through all of these. Ripple gateways explain a private exchange. A private exchange holds XRP and lets its customers buy and sell that XRP in its own system. I'm wondering why current administration came out with 2 executive orders. First order, Executive Order 13772, a new financial system. Mnuchin and his buddy put it together. The POTUS signed it. Months, years later, another executive order. Amidst all the vehicle distractions, another executive order comes out. This one is saying that we're going to pull the hood off, over. We're going to release, we're going to cut the ties that bind United States regulators. We're going to cut them loose, snap them loose, let them loose, and provide regulatory relief to agencies like the OCC, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, like the SEC, Security and Exchange Commission, and like the CFPB, Central, what is it, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. We're gonna cut the reins there. We're gonna let them loose so that they can move forward. Listen, the beer code, it's damaged the good old US Fed. We need to provide some regulatory relief so that we can implement the things like maybe holding digital assets. I mean, I don't know. We're going to provide some regulatory relief, right? The order said rescind, modify, or just, get rid of it. Get rid of that regulatory restraint. So that maybe, I don't know, maybe central banks, who knows? I don't know, can hold some digital assets. I don't know. Maybe that's one thing. Who knows what Brian Brooks has in mind? I do know it's about digital assets. And this dude just got the green light to move forward. Don't you think that's interesting? The timing of that executive order? So gateways, this is what Ripple says the gateways are. Remember, Stefan Thomas, I believe that'd be Stefan Thomas. Yep, Stefan Thomas said the gateways, the best gateways, banks and central banks. The best gateways are banks and central banks. All right, gateways are businesses that provide a way for money and other forms of value to move in and out of the Ripple consensus ledger. Wow, this is definitely old, right? There are 3 major models that gateways can follow with different purposes and modes of operation. The RCL, Ripple Consensus Ledger. Okay. All right. So an issuing gateway receives money or other assets of value outside of Ripple and creates issuance in the Ripple Consensus Ledger, the RCL. This provides a direct way for companies to get money in and out of the ledger. All currencies in the ledger, except for XRP, take the form of issuances tied to a specific issuing gateway. Let me read this exchange one. A private exchange. A private exchange holds XRP and lets its customers buy and sell that XRP in its own system. Most cryptocurrencies rely on private exchanges to provide a market for the crypto. But the Ripple Consensus Ledger has a currency exchange built into the protocol itself. I'm not even sure. I need to go on, but I'll read some more. Everything's already done, guys. It's already in place. the US of A, and I love it, the good old US of A, but the government is not one to try to put something together and create it and make it happen. That's just not their strength. Let's just say that. All right, so here's the next one. Again, shout out to Mickey B. Fresh for sharing this. On-demand liquidity is a product that leverages digital assets and blockchain technology to improve the cost, speed, and transparency of cross-border payments. This highly strategic product for Ripple is powered by the superior speed, low transaction costs, and scalability of the digital asset, XRP. We're looking for an engineering, okay, that's cool. We're to lead and great. Integration into our next, I remember this is on the interview, right? The interview. This is on like the application to be employed at Ripple, right? For the next thing that they were looking to do, which is the loan thing, providing working capital, right, to SMEs. Integration into our next generation trading platform. A critical part of defining the future trajectory of on-demand liquidity and RippleNet, both the ODL and RippleNet. You see what I'm saying? Ripple has created everything necessary for the fourth industrial revolution. Everything necessary for this little thing, this low-hanging fruit that is cross-border remittance. And trust me when I tell you, it's the low-hanging fruit. It's not the bigger picture. It's the low-hanging fruit. It's a way to show the world what its technology, Ripple's technology, can do. It's just one way. But everyone can relate to this way. Everyone can relate to cross-border payments. Everyone can relate to crazy fees and lack of transparency in cross-border payments. Everyone can. So, all right, supernatural currency. This is Ecology of Money's from, again, Mickey B. Fresh. Ripple's supernatural currency, right? Ripple's distributed exchange is the electronic calculator that Hayek dreamed of, but on a scale he could never have imagined. The XRP ledger is an ecology, like any other money infrastructure. This quote, retrieved from Ripple's archive website, shows that the XRP ledger promised an ostensibly neutral medium, the calculator, to provide interoperability, universal translation, between apparently incompatible political designs, right? So never forget the supernatural national currency, right? Never forget that. Never. And I'm going to point now to David Treat, who talked about this one currency that, in the short term, might not replace the US dollars, the world reserve currency, but over time, after it gains traction, could possibly. This is something that I find to be very, very interesting. I don't know when this is, but it has to be a while ago because they're talking OpenCoin, but let's check this out. Why? It says, Node Store, a case study in refactoring. Vincent Falco from OpenCoin, Inc. He's got his email here. Interesting. Soon, our software, including the Ripple server and the client-side wallet code, will be in the spotlight on the global stage. Programmers, IT managers, Maverick developers, and many more will be looking at everything that we are doing. This is back when they were OpenCoin. All right, we're building the most important piece of software that the world has ever seen. It deals with money, which makes the world go round. If there was ever a piece of software for which readability, maintainability, and overall aesthetics was of paramount importance, it would be the software developed by OpenCoin. The Ripple payment system will help redefine society well beyond our lifetimes. Wow. I know this is a rather long video, guys, but it's really, really important for you guys. I just wanted to really kind of paint the bigger picture. what really is going on. I shared something out, and if I find it, I will share it again, from Jeff Bezos, because that, my friends, is essentially what Glenn Hutchins has said over and over and over again. The value. Focusing on the price is distracting and, quite honestly, uninformative. The value, my friends, is in the protocol. Let's share something from Mr. Giancarlo. Interesting to listen to. It's 2 minutes, guys, but it's very, very interesting. Definitely want to check this out.
Giving them a standard set of technological protocols to use. So in short, our proposals, I think, is a quite simple one. And that is that there be a independent enterprise. You know, it can be a quasi-governmental. There's certainly a role for strict standards and government role in this. But having been in the government, knowing how difficult it is to actually do technological innovation in government, being a representative of government that couldn't build a medical website, and after 3 tries eventually went to the private sector to get it done. This has really got to be built, if it's going to be built on time and built, it's got to be built with private sector involvement. But that entity would make those standard protocols available to the entire existing financial ecosystem.
Excuse me? That enterprise would make the ecosystem available to the entire financial system. Not one company trying to go into a corridor like Brazil and use this technology like a WhatsApp to dominate. Let me share that again with you guys. It's just pretty powerful.
Available to the entire those standard protocols available to the entire existing financial ecosystem. Entity would make those standard protocols available to the entire existing entity would make those standard protocols available to the entire existing financial ecosystem, to banks, payment providers, and others, standard set of protocols, and an ecosystem to bank.
So Mickey B. Fresh has already done what we were looking to do, which is to keep playing that, right? So he put that in there. You get that? When we talk about the ILP, when we talk about the XRPL, and the fact that they made that decision to make that available, open source to everyone. You get that? You get the genius in that move. This dude, again, former CFTC, Mr. Chris Giancarlo, former head of the CFTC, right? The co-lead in the Digital Dollar Project, along with Mr. David Treat. I'm going to share something from him as well. He's talking about an enterprise that can, with open source protocols, and an ecosystem that will be made available to everyone. And then he points them out who these everyone's might be. He says banks. Mr. Stefan Thomas just said the best gateways for this technology are central banks and banks. They're telling us all the deal. Mr. Giancarlo, I believe something with Board of Ripple at one time or another. Don't quote me on that one, but I believe so. Okay. He is currently at a law firm that represents Ripple. You think he knows about their technology? Right? Accenture, investor in Ripple, is where Mr. David Treat resides as the senior managing director of something blockchain, and is the co-lead on this digital dollar project. So if Mr. Giancarlo knows about this particular enterprise that had protocols that are open source and an ecosystem that will be made available to everyone in the financial system world, you think Mr. Treat might know as well, or are they keeping things secret amongst themselves? I think he knows as well. And Mr. Treat's talking about a currency. All right, let me go on to the next thing. Here, Mickey B. Fresh points out another 30-second thing from David Treat. This was a really good interview by Angie Lau from Forecast, Forecast.news. You certainly want to check this interview out. I believe they have a channel on YouTube, Forecast.news. Listen to this 30 seconds from this guy. Let me read what Mickey B. Fresh says. David Treat, here at blockchain at Accenture and co-lead, so he's been there for a year, I guess, and co-lead of Digital Dollar Project, interview from last week. Yep, Accenture has been working with Ripple since 2014 and is an investor in Ripple. We covered that on the video yesterday. Accenture was providing the Ripple technology to its clients. They are at the forefront of DLT interoperability and CBDCs. Let's listen to Mr. Treat.
Be able to swap in the actual CBDC token.
Check this out.
There's a lot that's already started and underway around tokenization of money, tokenization of value, tokenization of securities, the exchange of the two. So we are seeing it already. The exciting part is to now be able to swap in the actual CBDC token exciting part is to now be able to swap in the actual CBDC token for what we've been using so far.
You guys, you see that? 2014, there's a lot that has already been done. There is a lot that has already been done. He talks value, he talks tokens, he talks fiat currency. There's a lot that's already been done. We got this thing, it's already in place. What's exciting is we're looking forward to swapping in the CBDC. It's already been done. It's already been done. I'm going to end there. Thanks again to Mickey B. Fresh for sharing and always adding value to the community, guys. So that is it, my friends. I'm going to end there. This video went a little long. I got other stuff I guess I'll cover in other videos. But make no mistake about it, when we say on this channel, the champ is here. The champ is here, right? And what we also say is the ILP, the XRP ledger, Codius, XRP, right? Let me say it again. The ILP, the XRPL ledger, Codius, XRP. Just pick one. Just pick one. All right, guys, listen, I'm going to wrap up this video like I do all of my videos and remind you guys of this. Old money doesn't want you to win. They don't want us to win. They would rather us remain a cog in their perpetual wheel of trading our time for dollars. They don't want us to play in the same playground that they play in, where we allow our money to work for us. This is our chance to win, guys. The digital asset space is our chance to win. We are in the midst of the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of man. Are you participating? Or are you standing on the sidelines? Here's what I do know, that the battle for you has already been fought, and the victory is yours. Go get it. I'll talk to you soon, guys. See ya. Bye.